New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here on a Friday evening. It's 5 o'clock on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it is time for the good news. That opportunity that I like to take every week to remind myself the good word and the good news that's happening in our world. Gives us a chance to also take some good stories into the weekend, share with our family and friends. So I'm so grateful that you are here with us tonight. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe buttons. Let your friends and family know what we're doing here. Let some people know that we're having fun here on a Friday night with the good news. We'd love for you to share this broadcast. And of course, you're always welcome to chat along, chime along, add to the conversation in the chat or comment box as is appropriate for whatever platform you're watching on. All right, let's get it started here. First up, we're taking a flashback to 1960. You may know this photo. This is Ruby Bridges, and the photo was taken back in 1960. Well, recently, Ruby published a book, a children's book, that says, titled A Talk with My Teacher, that is based on that first year of being in first grade as the first child of color to integrate a public school. In fact, that year, she was the only student in the room. The principals of the school made sure she was the only student in the room, and her teacher really did keep her, well, I would have to think sane. Barbara Henry is the woman's name. Ruby Bridges has stayed in touch with Barbara over the years. And recently did an interview on the Today Show where she said, we often say, both of us, that despite all the hate that was going on outside, inside that room, it was filled with love. Ms. Henry, a Boston native, made a commitment to Ruby, even though other teachers were resigning from their jobs in protest or just flat out refusing to work with the child. Bridges recalled that she would not have gotten through if it wasn't for her teacher, Ms. Henry. In second grade wasn't any better because she didn't have Ms. Henry eventually at all. Now at age 70, Ruby has started Ruby Bridges, and this is not new, but many years ago now, started Ruby Bridges Foundation, which promotes the values of tolerance, respect, and appreciation of all differences. Think that each one of us, every one of us, we probably remember one teacher that made an impact in our lives, Bridges said, and she was the one for me. Yes, she was. Ruby Bridges, thank you for being on the planet. Thank you for being a part of the good news that's happening in the world. And hey, here's some good news from my home state of Colorado. I do love the fact that our governor is a gay man who won't let any of this rigmarole that's going on slow us down. In the wake of threats to marriage equality, Colorado Governor Jared Polis has signed legislation repealing the state's same-sex marriage ban. The ban had been invalid since the Supreme Court ruled in favor of marriage equality back in 2015. But the overturning of Roe v. Wade has many fearing that same-sex marriage could be next on the chopping block. Should that happen, Colorado's law will protect marriage for LGBTQ plus couples. Colorado is for everyone, Polis said in his statement, no matter who you are or who you love. Last November, the voters got rid of an outdated language in our Constitution that banned same-sex marriage. This is a long overdue step in the right direction, and today's law I'm citing ensures that Coloradans can marry who they love in our Colorado for all. The freedom to marry who we love is a fundamental right, added State Senator Jesse Daniels, a co-sponsor of the bill. I cannot sit back and allow Coloradans to have their marriages and families put at risk. In November, Coloradans voted overwhelmingly to abolish the provision in the state constitution defining marriages between one man and one woman, and the legislation fulfills the voters' will. Yes, it does. And yes, we did. Good work, Colorado, being part of the good news. Sharing in that good news. You know, folks, we get a lot of our good news stories from a number of locations. And that last story and this next story come to us from LGBTQNation.com. We invite you to drop over, give them some of the love and attention they deserve as well. This next story really touched my heart, too, because this is from Salt Lake City, yes, of all places. As nationwide, colleges are shuttering their LGBTQ centers under political pressure to end all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Salt Lake Community College is keeping theirs running by being more clear about their original intention and focus. In 2019, Salt Lake Community College hired Peter Mooseman to help open up its Gender and Sexuality Student Resource Center, then an office that is supportive of LGBTQ plus and female students. The center is open to all students, and it has a drop-in lounge, offers connections to community groups and resources, and hosts events, programs, and trainings for affinity months like LGBTQ plus History Month or Women's Heritage Month. Mooseman, who currently serves as the center's manager and as SLCC's assistant director of cultural programming, oversaw the center exclusively until October 24 of this past October, when the Utah State Legislature passed a bill prohibiting state-funded colleges from discriminatory practices that favor certain ideations, populations over others, the anti-DEI bill. Well, Mooseman made it very clear that by having a programming or space or things that were exclusive to a certain identity group was considered discriminative, our center, he says, never excluded anyone from any programming, any services, or any resources. We're not checking IDs at the door. I would add, I'm glad to know they're not checking genitals at the door of the bathrooms either. We're not checking IDs at the door. We had a lot of straight students coming in and getting resources, and we had a lot of cisgender students coming in and get resources as well. So we were never engaged in a discriminatory practice. Despite the Department's Education ban, Mooseman believes they are operating within the law. We can talk about how our communities are thriving. We can celebrate achievements. We just can't say anything like queer people are oppressed and need to be recognized. A lot of what the bills and these laws and these mandates are focusing us into are semantic games, and it's challenging and frustrating. But despite the frustrations, Mooseman says he has seen some opportunities to engage people on gender and sexuality issues in a different and possibly more accessible way. We'll have to see, he says. Good work in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake Center for I was a longstanding member of the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. I know a number of people I've received great education at SLCC, and I'm glad to see that it's staying and they're doing the good news, doing the good work. Hey, this next story comes to us all the way from the goodnewsnetwork.org, another great organization that does fabulous work in collating and collecting up great news stories. We invite you to join them and check them out and get a look at for what they're doing. This next story comes, a beloved Michigan bookstore recently received helping hands from the community when a human chain formed to pass its entire inventory from the store's old location to its new one. Now, I don't know how all this came about. Serendipity Books and its owner, Michelle Tolpin, had a problem. Moving day came along, and they had over 9,000 books that needed to be packed up and sorted into the new location. Obviously, that wouldn't work, closing for several days. So she took to social media and put out a call of volunteers for among her followers. Well, up to 300 people showed up to lend a hand. And that's when she came up with an idea. Rather than packing the books, let's just form a human chain, or rather, two. It was a joyful experience, said one of the volunteers. We were passing the books and noticing and commenting to each other. Oh, have you read this one? I really enjoyed this one. Fortunately for everyone involved, the new space was just 350 feet from the old location. And so in just a little over 2 hours, the entire collection had been moved, stocked, and put back in order, more or less. Grateful doesn't begin to express how we're feeling. According to was Serendipity Books' Instagram post, thanking the people that came out to do this. All this, of course, is setting up so that Tolpin can open their new store on April 26th, which is Independent Bookstore Day. Michelle Tuplin, and her book brigade deserve press coverage, we agree, but add that it may deserve more. Someone should write a book about this. Oh, I see what they did there. Good news, good work all across the country. Thank you, folks, for finding fun and innovative ways to solve the concerns of the day. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, folks. Let a few of our friends and family know about what's going on. Join us as we share a little bit more. We'll be right back with more good news after these messages.
Science of Mind Archives and Library is thrilled to celebrate the gala grand opening of our new home at Unity Village. While we wish everyone could join us in person, we understand that's not possible for everyone. That's why we're excited to announce a live stream option. Tune in to our YouTube channel on Friday, April 25th at 6 p.m. Central Time for an unforgettable evening featuring a keynote address from Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, musical inspiration with Karen Drucker, and the spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living, Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell Smith, and the spirit of Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes. Including exclusive content you won't want to miss. Grab your virtual ticket to this amazing event today with a $25 donation. Sign up today at www.scienceofmindarchives.com.
Yes. Next Friday night, folks, place to be online with the Science of Mind Archives. You know, if you skip the good news next week, I'll understand. But only if you're hanging out with the Science of Mind Archives. New Thought Media Network will be there broadcasting live and perhaps with some pop-up interviews throughout the day. Watch for some spontaneous programming both Friday and Saturday, live from Unity Village here on New Thought Media Network. We really hope you can be a part of what what we're going to bring forward for you. All right. Hey, here we go. Next up, good news story out of the San Diego Zoo. The elephants are fine. They took care of themselves during the recent earthquake, originating about 3 miles south of Julian, Southern California. The magnitude 5.2 earthquake gave the region a good shaking. And at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, a herd of 3 female elephants and their 2 calves not only startled, but created what is known as an alert circle, putting their youngest and most vulnerable in the center with the rest of the herd facing outward. Elephants have the ability to feel sound through their feet, so an earthquake is presumed more frightening for them than for us with the shaking. Many elephant strongholds, such as Zambia, Botswana, and South Africa, are prone to both intense and less so earthquakes. The herd consists of the herd went back to normal after about 4 minutes, though they did stay closer than normal to each other for the rest of the day. I would imagine that is so. Good news, the elephants are A-okay. Folks, sometimes we find these wonderful, heartwarming stories that remind us the humanity that we have. The photo is showing a man with a cane sitting on the ground as a bus stop led to a groundswell of compassion and a determination to make things right. From that uncomfortable predicament, a local movement in Berkeley, California was born. It started when Daryl Owens noticed his neighbor, who had just undergone surgery for chronic leg pain, was sitting down on the sidewalk waiting for a bus. For many years, I had complained about the lack of seating for bus benches in Berkeley and got no response from either the city of Berkeley or AC Transit, said Owens. He eventually snapped a photo of his neighbor sitting on the curb, the one you see there, posted it on social media, gained some attention, and a local engineer who offered to move his own bench to the location. Samuel had been building benches after learning about the public bench project, which installs them, and donated them to local businesses and organizations to promote community-oriented public spaces. Before long, Samuel's bench was placed at the infamous bus stop, and he tweeted a picture of the problem as solved. Well, Samuel's social media post soon had over 100,000 likes and created a whole bunch of positive vibes, Raven the Vibe in 2025. An idea and a movement began. Eventually, dozens of benches were ordered. Samuel and Owens, strangers just a few weeks prior, started collaborating on their own bench building project, which they call the SFBA Bench Collective. Launching a simple website, they allowed visitors to join the movement, report a problem, or request a bench. So far, they've installed approximately 77 benches at local bus stops. Each bench complies with the AC Transit guidelines and the regulations required for the Americans with Disability Act. The estimated cost for each bench is just $70, and the group prioritizes places benches at the highest ridership stops they can. The effort has created a little bit of a cat and mouse game in the transit community, however. The Bench Collective will sometimes install their own benches, only to see them replaced by more official ones from the city. Wouldn't you know it? Elsewhere, the movement keeps growing. A climate activist who volunteered for the Bench Collective posted a video of a bench build that tallied over 3.2 million views. This could be the type of movement that goes global, as it were. Maybe the term is viral. Good news, good news, good news in the bench building arena. Hey, folks, we love our animal stories here on New Thought Media Network, and we love our hero stories as well. And normally we save our hero stories for the final segment, but we've got so many today that I wanted to focus on our animal hero first and foremost. Recently, Bowden Allen, a 2-year-old, wandered into the high desert of Arizona. He was found thanks in part to a local rancher's dog. Bowden Allen walked off his parents' property in Seligman into mountain lion country at around 5 p.m. last Monday evening. Yavapai County Search and Rescue conducted a 16-hour search into the next morning. Ranger Scotty Dutton was surprised enough when he saw Buford wandering up a ranch track with little Bowden in tow, but was even more surprised when the boy explained the ordeal he'd just gone through. I asked him, "Did you walk all night long?" And he said, "No, I slept under a tree." Dutton, and I said, "Well, did my dog find you?" And he goes, "Yup." And he said he followed the dog back to the house. He knew the child had been reported missing and was grateful to be able to help find him, realizing only later that the boy had wandered about 7 miles from his house. The little child had wandered away while his mother was changing her other son's diaper, and his father was doing some work around the house. Search and rescue utilized more than one helicopter in the hunt for little Bowden. At one point, the pilot noticed that there were 2 mountain lions following one of the search parties. Imagine that. There were about 1,000 ways that could have went really, really bad. One good way, and luckily it turned out to be the good way, Dutton said. Wow. Buford the dog was unavailable for comment, as they say. Amazing, folks. Hey, we're going to take another quick break. Say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors, but we do have our Heroes of the Week, and you want to stay tuned for this. It's a big batch of heroes this week, folks. We got some big stories you want to hear about. We'll be right back after this message. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. Yes. Thank you to all of our organizational sponsors and individual donors. It's thanks to folks like you that we're able to continue moving this mighty message of New Thought forward in the world. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a contributing member of New Thought Media Network, please head on over to our website, ntmedia.org. Plus, click on that donate button and make your donation monthly donation. We'd appreciate it. All right, back into the good news here on a Friday evening. We are seeing some heroes this week. Oh my gosh. This first story comes to us from Hudson, Florida. Meg and Bill Longhenry were told their newborn daughter wouldn't survive. However, they turned to their faith, and what happened next? A miracle. Millie was born in August of 2023 with a rare and severe brain disorder, a condition so serious that doctors expected her to pass away within days. Instead, her parents brought her home on hospice care and prayed for a different outcome. Bill has said God had something else in mind, and only God was really able to make that decision. Their prayers led them to Dr. Branford Crawford, a neurologist in Austin, Texas, who uses innovative, non-invasive therapies. After reviewing Millie's scans, he saw potential others had missed, and in his care, Millie began treatments that sparked surprising progress She began smiling, responding to voices, eventually even being able to say mom and dad. But just as Millie was beginning to thrive, the family was hit with another hurdle. They simply ran out of money. When Meg shared the news with Dr. Crawford, he told her to bring Millie in anyway, and they prayed for a solution together. Hours later, the answer came. An anonymous former patient, moved by Millie's story, called to cover the outstanding balance of just over $47,000. It's just impossible to understand that level of generosity from a stranger, said Bill. They later learned who the donor was and were able to express their gratitude, and they say they know who was behind it all. God. We serve such a big God, Meg said. He's greater than our biggest fears. He is the greatest physician. Thanks to one stranger's kindness and a faith that never wavers, Millie is defying every odds and continuing to grow stronger each and every day. And from Philadelphia, the bravery of a police officer, but for someone with a fear of heights, it's probably safe to assume most of the work will be done with his feet on the ground. Well, one Philadelphia police officer presented disaster by going above and beyond where he normally would. Officer Eric Robbins was on patrol December 10th among the two-story houses on North 46th Street in Philadelphia when he got a call from neighbors saying someone's child was out and walking on the pitched roof of a nearby house. The child didn't seem fazed by the 20 to 30-foot drop off the edge of the home. Robbins could feel it, though, even from the ground, as he has a self-professed fear of heights. I just knew I had to get him off that roof. And so he gained entry to the house, body cam footage shows that he was charging up the stairs to the second floor, climbed out the window, and was able to get the child. Arriving on the window, he realized his presence might spook the wayward boy into falling off the roof. So he had to sneak into position to grab the child. Though unwilling to talk to the police at the time, the family, who were completely shocked, thanked the officers for his dedication to protecting and serving with such compassion. Officer said, instantly overcoming my fear of heights and getting him off the roof, and it hit home because it could have been my kid, and I'd want somebody to do the same. Yes, officer, thank you so much for being part of the solution, for being one of our heroes this week. My gosh. And it doesn't end there, folks. Wait till you hear this next story. A mom and dad in Tennessee have been called angels on earth by filling their home with children who have complex medical conditions. Caleb and Bukala Bone were just at a district court to seal the adoption of their fourth child, Isabella, who, like their biological son Griffin, was born with a heart condition and has spent much of her early life in a hospital. It was Griffin's early travails that made the couple decide that the big family they always wanted would be filled with kids like Griffin that needed extra help and extra care. Griffin needed open heart surgery at just 3 months. The family spent a lot of time in and out of Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, where they had learned how many kids in the foster system who have complex medical issues as well. Well, through a belief in a God in God, or simply in the urging of their own moral compass, they decided to do something about it. And in 2022, adopted a little boy named Mauricio who needed a kidney. Mauricio can be seen in a report filed at the local news. You see Mauricio happy and healthy. The Bones have now either fostered or adopted 4 children with complicated medical issues. They're just the best people in the world. Foster parents have to go through training in the hospital, so sometimes they can be daunting. They have to go through a full medical training to know how to care for their medically needy children. Isabella, who, for example, came to the couple at just 5 months old. Thank you, dear ones. The Bone family. Good work. Wow. And here, folks, we've been building up to it, is our true hero of the week. An off-duty firefighter in Massachusetts is being hailed as a hero after springing into action to rescue a woman trapped in a burning SUV following a dramatic rollover crash. This all happened last Sunday, April 13th. The Whitman Fire Department Lieutenant Brian Trefrey, I sure I'm not saying that properly, Lieutenant, was driving with his wife on Route 24 southbound in Rhineham on his way to pick up his kids from their grandmother's house when he noticed smoke rising from the opposite side of the highway. As they got closer, he spotted a heavily damaged SUV that had rolled into a ravine and caught fire. Without hesitation, Brian pulled over and carefully crossed multiple lanes of traffic, reaching the vehicle. Flames were spreading from the engine to nearby vegetation, and a woman was trapped inside. Thinking fast, the lieutenant searched for something to break the window and found a boot on the ground. He used it to crack the glass, but it didn't fully shatter. A bystander handed him a window punch, but that too failed. Undeterred, he managed to force open the door that was blocked by dirt and pull the woman to safety. I had to move some dirt around, but was able to get the door open a bit enough to grab her, he recalled. At first, it was a struggle. Luckily, I pulled her out. She was conscious, but I noticed a little blood. With the help of another good Samaritan, the lieutenant carried the woman about 30 feet away from the SUV to protect her in case the fire worsened. He checked the back seat to ensure no one else was trapped. Soon after, nurses arrived to assist, along with EMTs and Massachusetts State Police, and the local fire department was able to quickly extinguish the flames. Though used to handling emergencies on the job, this marked the first time the lieutenant had to act in such a crisis while off duty. Never been in a situation like this, he said. It definitely wasn't on my Sunday morning bingo card. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Despite the risk, he crossed all lanes of the highway again to return to his car, and with drivers were able to allow his passage. Everyone involved hailing the good sir as a hero. And yes, sir, you two are our hero of the week here on New Thought Media Network. Thank you, folks, for staying with me. I've run a little long tonight, so I'm going to get out of here, let you get into the rest of your evening. But please come on back in just under a half hour, top of the hour. Pastor Michael Mangus will be here with the Fireside Chat. Always a wonderful time on Friday evenings. Until next time, I wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.